Okay guys, I showed you the supply list. That's what I used, except for the white embossing powder. I didn't use that. I was going to, and then I flipped the script as I was recording. I wound up going with the Versa Fine Clair there on the top left. I'm using the Sizzix nested dies, pierced dies, and I was just using that to line up with the Simon Says Stamp Beautiful Flowers, just to kind of get an idea where I want the image to be inside my heart. That, right, what you saw there was my anti-static bag. I keep it in a little cup with a clothespin. I don't like to touch it, so that's why it's inside that. Anyway, I apologize for the lighting. Again, this is my first card making video. I'm not the greatest at it, but I'll get better. But anyway, I have to fix the lighting. It was starting to get better at this point. I'm treating the paper, which is Bristol Smooth cardstock. I'm stamping with Versa Fine Clair Nocturne. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I'm using clear here. I realized, wait a minute. I don't want to do that. I did it again. No, I don't want that. I flipped the paper over, retreated it with the static bag, and realized, there we go. Stamp it with black, Versa Fine, and put clear on top. Because I was going to watercolor. And when you put clear on top of your Versa Fine ink, it makes a little bump, and it kind of helps contain the water and prevents bleeding. But again, this is Bristol Smooth. It can't handle that much water, just a little bit. I like it because it's got a slick surface and it makes things easy to blend. That's why I like it so much. But anyway, those are the Tombows right there, 837-026-177. And there's my water dropper. Okay, here I zoomed in for you, but I speeded it up because otherwise it will be excruciatingly boring. Basically, to make this video, I've made so many mistakes. I've made, I don't know, this is the 4th card using the Beautiful Flowers image, so I'm coloring it really fast here because at this point I was pretty frustrated. Anyway, so I put the color down. This number is 837, and I usually do one petal and then blend it out with water, then move on to the next, and so forth and so forth. But here I was kind of in a rush. I just wanted to get it done, so I didn't take the time to do the best job, but I just wanted to get it on film so I can complete this video once and for all. So, okay, basically here I put the number 837. Tombows don't have names, they just have numbers. So I put 837 in where the darkest area would be, and then I blend out with water. I have a droplet of water on a laminated sheet of paper that I always use. I prefer to use that over a glass mat because when you put droplets of water on a glass mat, they just kind of go flat like a puddle would. But when you put droplets on a laminated sheet, it stays in a droplet form, like a dome. So it's easy for me to pick it up. I just put my water brush in it and pick up as much water as I need, and then I just keep putting droplets out like that as I need them. Now here with this bud, as you can see, I just put some color in there, and I just added, I always constantly wiping my brush off on a paper towel so I don't put pink water down where I want white water to go. Clear water, not white, clear, clean, whatever. Anyway, now I'm moving on to the yellow, which is number 026. And again, I'm doing the same thing. I'm putting where the darkest color would be, and then I'll blend out. And sometimes what I'll do is, I didn't do it so much in this one, but I will leave areas, the tips of certain petals, I'll just leave them white, or a slight tint of whatever color I'm using. And I'll just leave it that way. or, you know, and sometimes instead of wiping, as you see, I'm left-handed, I go off to the left with my brush and I clean it off on the napkin, but sometimes I'll keep the pigment on there from blending and I'll use it for the tips of the highlights, just so it's a slight, very slight bit of color on the tips of the flowers. So basically, you know, I'm new to watercoloring. I really enjoy it because it can be done quick. And I notice some people, what they do when after they're done watercoloring, they also add Copics for more dimension, and or Prismacolor pencils or some type of colored pencils to just get more dimension in the image. I've never done that. I might in the future, but I haven't at this point. Right now I'm beginning, I'm learning, but I do enjoy it. Some people don't like the water brushes. They feel they can't get enough control over the water. I usually don't squeeze my water brush out. I have water in there, but I don't squeeze it out. The only water I really use is what I pick up off my my surface, and that's it. You know, so that brush there that I'm using is the Tim Holtz. I think it's called a Fine Detailer brush, and I have two. I really only use one. I just have one as a backup in case something happens. A few times I put the cap on and I had a bristle. I must have caught it in the cap and it was like bent out. So I trimmed that off, because once they're bent, it's like you can never get them straight again. So I just trim off those little guys. So anyway, moving on back to the card. I'm doing the second flower in yellow, or if you relate it to distress oxides, it's like fossilized amber. I'm just putting in again 026 in the darkest areas and blending out. And the only other green I used is 177. Sometimes I'll use two greens, but in this case I just use one. Earlier I did playing around a little bit with some alcohol inks, so I have stains on my hands. So it's not that my hands are dirty, they're just, I have ink all over them. So I'm struggling to get that off. But anyway, I'm laying down the green now, 177, and you know, this goes quick, especially on the leaves because they're embossed with clear, so they're kind of resisting the color on those small leaves over there. So you just kind of put a little bit down and just blend it out. It really goes pretty quick. I'm sorry, I'm off screen here a little bit because I zoomed in. I should be rotating it any second now. Bear with me, guys. Again, this is a new process for me. There you go. You can see me on the left side there. Again, it's the same thing. I think, yeah, as I was doing this, there was a hair. I recently rescued this orange long-haired cat that I found in my backyard. This isn't about the card, but I'm just going to edit in anyway, because how much can I really repeat the same thing over and over again? But anyway, I found this long-haired Maine Coon cat, and it was so unusual. But I got a picture of him. I put him up on Paw Boost and the Nextdoor app, and I put up his picture, and nobody claimed him. And then finally, when I got close enough to him, he let me pet him and pick him up. I brought him to the vet, and he has a microchip, and his owners live 2 hours away. They were contacted, but they never called back. They never claimed him. They have 10 days to call, and that was over 2 weeks ago. So now he's in my craft room, and he gets along or tolerates the two males we have. But we have one female cat, and they had a fight, and now he's afraid to leave the room, because the one time he went to leave the craft room to explore, she was hiding behind the door, and she pounced on him, and they had a nasty, nasty fight. I've never seen a cat fight like that before. Really, really was scary. They were like in a ball, and fur was flying. I mean, there was no blood, no bites, thank God, but it scared me, and it scared him, and he's such a sweet boy, and he's only like maybe 9 pounds. He's so skinny. So anyway, I will find random, his hair is so long, I'll find random hairs on my stamps, on my brush nibs, you know, so it happens. But anyway, so that's basically the gist of how I colored this. Very simple. And I love this stamp. The stamp, you can't really go wrong. You can color it any way, and it's beautiful. Okay. Okay, now you're going to have to forgive me. I don't know what happened to the part where I had the Sizzix, the pierced heart die. I lined it up and I die cut the heart. It's a little hard to see here because the light's bright, but the image that you see that's colored is on a heart, and it's propped up on foam. I don't know what happened. I know I hit record, but for some reason it's not there. So anyway, I die cut hugs from Birch Press. I used black cardstock, and underneath hugs in the shadow I used vellum. And then I stamped Simon Says Stamp Tiny Word Sentiment. I stamped that on. Before I glued the hugs on to the heart, I lined it up and I put the placement of the stamp in my Misty, my mini Misty. I stamped the sentiment, embossed it with clear. I stamped it with black VersaFine, went over it with clear embossing powder. Then I glued the hugs down. Once that was done, I glued the heart down. Okay, I apologize again, but I don't know what happened to the clip where the watercolor piece I die cut from the largest Sizzix heart. Okay, then I put foam on the back. Once that was done, I die cut the hugs in black cardstock, and the shadow is vellum underneath. And I also, before I glued that onto the heart, I lined it up, the sentiment where it says sending love under the hugs. I lined that up, stamped that in black VersaFine Clair, put clear embossing powder on top. I usually always do that because I don't want to smear it and wait for it to dry. And it makes it shiny, it looks nice. And then after the sending love was embossed, then I glued my hugs down, you know, where in the same, you know, so it's nice and lined up and straight. Then I took my base and I used honeybee postage stamp die, and I die cut that, and I put it on a 5 1/4 by 5 1/4 black card base. And then once the hugs was on the heart, I put the heart on top of the card base, and I lined it up with the black and white image on top, underneath rather, made sure it matched up so it went, you know, so it looks fluent. And once that was done, I put some shimmer on the flowers, and then I put some white gel pen in the openings and glossy accent on the hugs. Thank you guys so much.